I have a motion. Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby rise from the closed session and declare the regular meeting reconvened at 4:30 p.m. Could I have a motion from Councillor Finson?
I so move.
And seconded by Councillor Moffat.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
All in favor of moving out of closed? 2. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn the regular meeting to hold a public meeting for the following matter. Zoning bylaw amendment application number R 2021-0011-H for Russell. Do I have a motion from Councillor Cole?
I will so move.
Thank you, and seconded by Councillor Fellner. Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Thank you. Council will now hold a public meeting for a proposed zoning bylaw amendment application. In accordance with the Planning Act, Council will consider all matters placed prior to passing a zoning bylaw. Seconded by Councillor Fellner. Could everybody, including the public, please mute your microphone? Everyone in the public, please mute unless you are actually meeting for a proposed zoning bylaw amendment application. In accordance with anyone wishing to receive notice of the passing of a zoning bylaw amendment who has not submitted such a request in writing should provide your name and address to the clerk. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of Council to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless, in the opinion of the Tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. Purpose of zoning bylaw amendment application number R 2021-0011-H for Russell is to rezone the subject lands located at 36 High Hill Road to permit a guest cabin which exceeds the maximum permitted size for a guest cabin and attached deck that is located within the required front yard. The guest cabin was previously the principal dwelling on 31 High Hill Road. Provisional consent has previously been granted to add a portion of 31 High Hill Road to 36 High Hill Road and the remainder of 31 High Hill Road to the neighboring lot. I now ask the clerk to state the method by which notice of the meeting was provided and the dates on which that notice was provided.
Notice of the public meeting was provided by posting the property by regular mail on September 24th, 2021. Notice was therefore considered to be provided in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
Has Township received any correspondence with respect to this application?
No correspondence has been received.
Has anyone registered to speak in favor of or in opposition to this application?
David Falkinger of Falcon Ridge Designs, agent for the applicant, has registered to speak to the application and is present.
Good afternoon, Mr. Falkinger. Would you like to speak to this application now?
Hi, yes, I may. Am I on video or no?
You're not on video, but we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is David Falkinger with Falcon Ridge Designs, 1005 Strathgy Road, Unit 2, Utterson, P0B1M0. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and Council. I just want to thank the planning staff for their comprehensive report that they put together. And I don't really have much to add other than I just want to confirm that the cooking facilities have already been removed from the existing cottage, as well as the staircase that had joined that cottage to the dock that is now part of the Newton property to the south.
Very much. Does council have any questions? Thank you. Council will now close the public meeting and reconvene the regular meeting. The motion that the public meeting held for the following matter is hereby closed and the regular meeting is hereby reconvened. Could I have a motion from Councillor Osborne
So moved, Mayor.
and seconded by Councillor Collins? And all in favor of moving back into the regular meeting? I have a motion that bylaw number 2021-074, being a bylaw to amend the Township of Seguin zoning bylaw number 2006-125, property roll number 4903-010-002-12610, application number R 2021-0011-H for Russell at 36 High Hill Road is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Do I have a motion from Councillor Finson?
I so move.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Moffat.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
All in favor? Okay, so that is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Move to short. You have a report. Staff recommends also receive this report for information. Lauren, do you have anything to add to your report?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, this is just an information report only. You might recall at the last council meeting, the portion just north of this concession rollouts portion was approved. So the one in front of you today is just south of that portion and terminates at Highway 141. If council wishes to proceed with this application, a public meeting will be held in the future.
Does anyone have any questions for Lauren? Thank you very much for your comprehensive report, Lauren. It's pretty clear, and the diagrams were a big help. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Von Bratt?
Hi there.
Hello, Mr. Von Bratt. Welcome as a delegate, and you have 10 minutes to prepare for, or to present to council. So thank you very much for your report has been included in the council package. So I turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, council members and mayor. My name is Cameron Von Bratt, and I live just down the road here in Humphrey on North Sandy Plains Road. If you guys can see my screen, just let me know.
We're fine.
Perfect.
We can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present here today. Having many discussions over the last few months with Daryl and Dominique, we found that there's a lot of alignment in the work I do as a freshwater ecologist and the township's vision and mission of improving natural conditions within the township boundaries and working with the local communities to improve life for all, including those who visit our beautiful part of Canada. One of the things that I would like to sort of talk about is how my company can sort of support local council and the local community. Ecosystems and ecosystem-based approaches are a core foundation of any initiative that addresses environmental, social, and economic health. By introducing an ecosystem-based approach, freshwater ecosystem services can both support council and our local community with the following. A review of the township's current water quality monitoring program, with the aim of enhancing and expanding on what is monitored and where it is monitored, and how this monitoring can be used to improve informed decision-making and management actions within the township. Freshwater Ecosystem Services will work with Council and Hutchinson Environmental to develop a watershed-based monitoring program within the municipal boundaries, which integrates both water quality monitoring across all major freshwater ecosystem types, and help Council and the community understand why this is needed and what the benefits of doing this are. This includes the addition of certain chemicals of concern that are monitored under federal guidelines, and improve on the existing program to make it comparable with other leading watersheds and municipalities across Canada. I can also help with the development of a township road mortality, i.e. a road kill monitoring program, which aims to address local loss of biodiversity, including species at risk, and improve ecological resilience. By adopting or implementing an existing monitoring program within the area, for example, the Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserves or the Magnetowan First Nations program, Council can collect the data needed to make informed decisions on important ecological functions such as migratory corridors and habitat connectivity. This information can then be used to address linear infrastructure planning, design and construction, and local development activities within the municipal boundaries. Another aspect I can help with is the development of a Magnetowan River Watershed Council, similar to that of the Muskoka Watershed Council, focusing on an ecosystem-based science approach, collaboration, and on-the-ground actions. This starts with understanding Seguin's location within the watershed, the roles and responsibilities of stakeholders within the watershed, and especially one without a conservation authority like the Magnetowan. How this can be incorporated into Seguin is by leading a watershed approach. This can have a ripple effect on actioning change and collaboration within the community and promoting resilience to climate change effects. Freshwater Ecosystem Services will work with Council to review existing collaborative partnerships and programs, for example, the Integrated Community Energy and Climate Action Plan. I can also review internal guidance documents, for example, the Waterfront Design Guideline, which, by the way, is a very good document and a fantastic foundational document. I can also help review municipal maps and current environmental bylaws and enforcement. And the aim of this is to address ecological gaps or disconnects within our legislation, implementation of ecological actions on the ground, and how our ecosystems can be improved to support the watershed itself, as well as local communities and economies within this watershed. If agreeable and approved by Council members, my company will work with Council to initiate an online workshop to discuss these suggested initiatives further and how they can be integrated into Council's strategic plan. The workshop can be open to all interested Council members and staff. And that's it. I'm excited to support Council with additional ecological services, and I'm happy to present what additional services my company offers. If there's any questions, I've tried to keep it as short as possible so that we can continue with the meeting.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Does Council have any questions? Councillor Osborne?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Cameron, could you explain to me what the relationship is between Magnetowan Watershed and Seguin? Are we connected in some way there?
Yes, on the municipal boundary, there's a watershed boundary between the Muskoka Watershed and the Magnetowan River. And this is on the tertiary catchment scale or watershed scale. And here in Humphrey, actually just on North Sandy Plains Road is the boundary between the Magnetowan and the Muskoka Watershed. So some of it, a very small part of the municipal boundaries are included in the Muskoka, but the larger portion is actually the Magnetowan River.
So I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. Are our waterways connected between Magnetowan and Seguin? I guess that's the question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Moffat?
Thank you, Mayor. And just a little bit of maybe bridging the gap. Cameron and I met through Muskoka Watershed. Him and I both sit on the round table which is a new initiative through the Muskoka Watershed. But what we've found to be the case is that the scales are kind of tipped in terms of focus and people more on the Muskoka Watershed Council, and Cameron and I are really the voice of the west side, trying to demonstrate that part of Seguin is in Muskoka, as Cameron just mentioned, but also there's a larger watershed let's call it above us. So the idea of trying to assist in both the Muskoka one and then sort of potentially create a watershed that is connected and is looking after our area like the Muskoka Watershed is doing on that side, but just sort of try to get our own balance and such. So there's a couple of interesting things that are happening there, and also trying to, as we've demonstrated in our strategic plan, just demonstrating our environment first being around what we do. It just makes sense to try to enhance our water quality and testing. Thank you.
Councillor Collins.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, Seguin, I'm sure you know that we do have a water quality program and a stewardship program as well in Seguin, run by our community services. So, having said that, how is this going to enhance what we already have? Is Dominique on? Yeah, can I ask her what his program or his company is going to add to what we already have?
Go ahead, Dominique.
So Cameron's still there. He may be able to answer this better than I can, but it is an enhancement to our water quality program. So right now we're really focused on certain lakes. So we do a rotation of all our lakes for the testing of phosphorus and things like that. Cameron, maybe you can explain further what you explained to Daryl and I about, really the ecosystem and the river and the flow that happens into and out of the lake.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Can you hear us, Cameron?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. From a watershed perspective, flow comes right from the top of the catchment and flows down. So this is how water is connected, integrated right through our entire watershed, and within the municipal boundaries. Obviously, this is a geographical boundary. It's not a ecosystem boundary. So it's really bringing those two things together and saying within the geographical boundary, how is those ecosystems connected? And freshwater is the way that all of those ecosystems are connected. So basically, it's the flow of water through the catchment that we really want to enhance and look at.
Okay, Cameron, you did mention the Magnetowan River. I don't know if that's in Seguin or not, but there is the Sablum Watershed, and that was never mentioned. And that includes lakes from Clear Lake, Little Whitefish, all the way down Turtle Lakes, Maple Lake, Star Lake. All those lakes are involved in the Seguin Watershed, and that was never mentioned.
Yeah.
Why?
Those watersheds are included within the larger watershed boundaries. So on a tertiary catchment level or a tertiary watershed level, the Magnetowan River watershed catchment is a large boundary that includes all of the small catchments between sort of south end of Perry Sound all the way to the French River.
I understand that, but the Magnetowan River flows eventually into Brick, and the Seguin Watershed flows into the Seguin River, right? That goes into Mill Lake and into Georgian Bay. So I'm just wondering why you're like, I can't understand how the Magnetowan is part of the Seguin, is part of the Seguin River, which is a totally different watershed. That's
why. Within a tertiary watershed, you have small quaternary watersheds, and those quaternary watersheds would include the smaller rivers and catchments. Similar to the Muskoka watershed, there's the Moon River, the Blackstone Harbor, the Musquatch. They're all included within the larger boundaries of that watershed, and it's at that level which the management seems to be the most sort of implementable. So management of the larger watershed includes all those small watershed boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Cameron. I think we've all learned a little bit, but I appreciate your presentation, and I will hand it back to Daryl and Dominique if they care to come back with a recommendation. But I appreciate your time and your presentation to council.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the meeting.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a motion. The Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive the staff reports as presented on the agenda for the October 18th, 2021 meeting of Council from Corporate Services and Development and Protective Services. Could I have a motion to this effect from Councillor Coles?
I will so move, Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Osborne.
I second that, Mayor.
All in favor? I have a motion that bylaw number 2021-091 being a 090 being a bylaw to establish a tariff of rates for various services related to the operation and maintenance of cemeteries under the control of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin, repeal bylaw number 2020-002 and all other bylaws and resolutions or parts thereof contrary hereto or inconsistent herewith is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Could I have a motion from Councillor Fellner?
I move that, Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Collins.
I'll second the motion.
Craig, do you want to speak to it at all? It's a comprehensive report, but I'll...
Maybe just two things I'll point out. In the staff report, there was an error. The proposed bylaw comes into effect January 1st, 2022. Verify that. Let's go for the question.
Basically, as I read the report, we have no choice.
Exactly.
Okay. Councillor Collins, do you have your hand up?
Oh, no, sorry, Mayor.
Okay, all in favor of this staff report? Thank you very much. And I think, Craig, you're on here again. I have a motion that bylaw number 2021-080, being a bylaw to authorize electors to use alternative voting methods, namely voting by internet and by telephone, for the Township of Seguin 2022 municipal election, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. I have a motion from Councillor Finson.
I so move.
And seconded by Councillor Moffat.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
Do you want to speak to it?
This is the bylaw that allows us to use alternative methods, basically for us internet and telephone voting for our 2022 meeting.
Councillor Moffat, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know in Craig's report, he's noted the financial impacts on page 3. I think there's a reserve of about $64,000, and I just wanted to know if that's a good estimate, or if there's something that needs to be done, if we have any changes as a result of, any changes in systems or anything else, whether that would be sufficient to cover it.
In the past, that's been sufficient. Michelle can certainly speak to that, but I don't believe we've, in the 2 elections, but.
Sorry, you broke up there at the end, Craig.
I believe that amount will be sufficient.
Okay.
It's the same. We're proposing the same company that we used for the last 2, and we did not go over budget on either of those, I believe.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor? Thank you. I think we have, I saw him, Gary Bell is on line with us. You have quite a comprehensive report, but Gary, I turn it over to you to update people on this subdivision.
Hello, Mayor McDermott and Council. I will give you an outline of the report that you've got in front of you, and then be pleased to address any questions. Council, the story of the Clear Lake and Salmon Lake subdivision really began 33 years ago with the proposal for a subdivision development on the shores of Salmon Lake. The Salmon Lake was a draft plan approval back in 1991 for 8 lots on the subshore of Salmon Lake. And in 1998, the ministry and the OMB provided an approval for 20 lots around Clear Lake. And those 20 lots and the 8 lots have really been combined into the one development in front of you now. Here we are. The development sat really dormant from the period from its plan approvals through to the time in about 2016, where the ownership of the property changed hands to Stephen and Philip Brown under a numbered company. And they have been proceeding with the road development and the other works since that time. The developer is constructing the road both on Crown land, and if you've got my report available, or I can do a screen share to show you, if council can see the screen now. On the left is my report. On the right, you should be seeing an aerial photo and the property images, and you can see starting up at Salmon Lake Road, which is in green.
Gary, just hang on a second. Can anybody see his? Oh, here we go.
Okay, Salmon Lake Road is in green on here. The council, let me expand this. And the developer has a work permit from the MNRF to be cutting the road across Crown land, if you can see my cursor. And I've been in on that road with the developer's planner, Mr. Jackson, a couple of months ago. Road construction is proceeding through the actual development property around Clear Lake, and they're almost to the ends of the road in their construction and blasting. Mr. Kopish gave me an update last week, and I believe he's on this meeting available for questions. Council, the land is designated and zoned to permit the shoreline residential development proposed. The road is going to be to municipal standards, and that was reaffirmed both in 2007 and 2015. And it'll be conveyed from the Crown to the township and from the developer to the township under the subdivision agreement. The developer had been working with a work permit. He faced a stop work matter a number of years ago for the Mississauga Rattler. There were hearings involved, ministries involved. That has been resolved, and the work has been proceeding more actively this year on the road construction. Council, the developer has requested a number of draft plan changes. If I can show you on the right, here is the proposed subdivision of the 20 lots around Clear Lake and the 8 lots around Salmon Lake. A number of factors of the topography of the land and the development conditions they're facing have meant that the developer is asking for a revision in a number of the configurations of things, revision of portage route we'll deal with. All of that with some lands on the outside of the road to be constructed. So we're working with the developer and his planner to address and provide council with very good information on the requested revisions and the draft plan changes so that you can make a decision on that, an informed decision on that. Council, we've also been receiving inquiries from several of the purchasers. This land is being marketed under the name of Clear Lake Estates, and purchasers are inquiring of township staff on the timing and the development requirements that they will be facing. They're anxious to get on with this. So I'm going to address your questions as I can, but I'm going to more listen to them and take them back for the subsequent work of the staff working with the developer. At the end of my report, I think you can see on the screen, here's where we are and here's where we're going. The developer is doing the work on the site, and they're to submit required plans and documents. There's a list of those to be submitted. The revisions will be addressed by staff and council. All of the 16 conditions of the draft plan approval need to be satisfied to the municipalities and municipal council's satisfaction with input from agencies. A subdivision agreement will be negotiated and signed. There is a draft. Your township solicitor has provided a draft, and I'm working with Mr. Belboom on the finalization of that. And then finally, the subdivision can be registered, the individual lots sold, and then the individual purchasers come back to the township for site plan approval and building permits. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, Gary. And I know you've done a lot of work and it's been a complicated process. I see a question from Councillor Osborne.
Mayor. Gary, I've got the drawing with the green roads in the red area up. Could you tell me the rough surface area of Clear Lake acreage or?
No, I can make sure that we have that for information. In fact, some of the matters, Councillor Osborne, I can put in an information memo to council with some of these in the next short while. All of it, of course, will be in the staff report. So it's the surface area of Clear Lake, and part of Clear Lake is actually in the township of the archipelago to the south. So I will get you the total area of Clear Lake and how much of it is in the township subject to this proposed development.
All right, thank you. And the reason I asked the question, so beyond the southern border of the subdivision, Gary, is archipelago beyond
Correct.
that line? Okay. So it appears that it looks like 50-50, pretty much the way it sits right now in terms of the water body.
Mayor and Councillor, that's reasonable.
Yeah. So the reason for the question is an environmental question. Has there been what we used to call RCC, recreational carrying capacity, which I believe is now referred to environmental carrying capacity? Has a capacity been established for that lake? And if not, will one be? And because of that, would there be additional lots in the future, possibly in a plan of subdivision by the archipelago at the south end of the lake?
Mayor McDermott.
You may not have answers to these questions. But I think it's important. I think it's important.
Mayor and Council, there is not, to my knowledge, an RCC indication for this lake. This lake has draft plan approval, which is a development permission as a matter of right, long established. The matter of recreational carrying capacity and environmental conditions will, as I indicated in the staff report, be informed and driven by your environmental first policies and objectives. It does not necessarily mean, though, that the number of lots within Seguin or anywhere else will be either increased or decreased. It is draft plan approved for the 28 lots. What may happen in Archipelago, I could not guess.
Okay, I'm just suggesting that, RCC is pretty recent. As you mentioned, this draft approval goes back quite a number of years. So I don't know which supersedes the other. One more question I had, and I'll finish here. It mentions that the designation on the OP is shoreline area on salmon and rural and resource area with pockets of environmental protection around Clear Lake. Do you have any mapping that shows where the EP zones around Clear Lake are, where they're located? Because they're not, I don't believe they're shown here.
Mayor and Councillor, yes, and in fact, figure 5 in the report, which I believe is on the screen now.
Yes.
See that, Councillor?
Yes.
Those are the zones, and I had them highlighted in color.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see them now. Yep.
And there are a number of EP areas zoned, and some of them have the EP designation in the official plan, which was also in the staff report.
Okay, I see by the looks of that part of Clear Lake, there are 4 extending from the north to the boundary.
There are 3 on the land and well, a couple of more to the west, and then a few areas within the shore, right at the shoreline of an EP zone related to fisheries.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much, Gary. Appreciate it.
Councillor Felder.
Thank you, Mayor. My question, Mr. Bell, more pertains to the roads and the assumption thereof by the township. So is it at what step in this process would the township assume ownership of the road allowances and the road itself?
Mayor and Councillor, would be my information and advice that the assumption of any road follow your normal practice of road assumptions, post-construction, technical engineering acceptance by the public works people and the engineering consultant that has been assigned to review that. The assumption would be much later in the process, after the subdivision agreement and after the registration of the subdivision.
Okay. So yeah, and that would include the crown piece as well.
Mayor and Councillor, the crown land is under a work permit now to engineering standards there. And the developer has advised that they're ready or near ready to be doing a legal survey of the extent of that in the order of 20-meter right of way for that land that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. I do not know the exact timing of the conveyance of that parcel, but I believe, and I will work, check with Mr. Belboom, that it would be done in a corresponding time to the legal matters of dedication of the roads on the development portion. They'd be done together.
Right, okay. Yep, that makes sense. Thank you very much, Mr. Bell.
Thank you very much. No further questions from council, but we appreciate you updating us and look forward to any update memos you may have. It's complex, but I'm glad to see it proceeding.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary Bell. David, could you take your screen sharing down?
Did that work, Mayor?
We've still got your screen, your staff report
All
on the
right.
screen. You can take it all down.
I'll probably just leave the meeting and that should work.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Hope it'll work. Okay, I have a motion that as per staff report number DPS-BL-2021-006, copy attached as Schedule A, the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby grant an exemption, Anti-Peak Path, property roll number 4903-003-00624-0000 for Timothy and Lisa White, pursuant to Section 5.1 of Bylaw number 2008-105, being a bylaw to prohibit or regulate the placing or dumping or removal of fill in areas in the Township of Seguin, subject to the concrete retaining wall being faced on all sides with a natural stone to reduce the visual impact of the retaining wall. I have a motion from Councillor Collins.
I so move your motion, Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Finson.
I second that.
Okay, Dawn, do you want to speak to this as bylaw?
Yes, Madam Mayor and to Council. This is a follow-up report. Mr. White presented to Council his position a couple meetings ago. And basically, we confirmed that there was an existing pathway, a fire pit, in a small patio area, which he updated with new material. The retaining wall is an addition, and we are requesting that Council consider this, but there's some work to do on the retaining wall.
Does Council have any questions? See the retaining wall on page 74 of your package. Councillor Osborne.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Don, on that retaining wall, I see some white posts. Are they glass partitions or some sort of?
Yes,
Really?
yes, Council
Okay.
Osborne, it's tempered glass, correct.
Okay, great. That's all I need to know.
Any further questions?
Nope.
I will be honest, I'm a little shocked at the concrete wall beside the lake. I understand that removing it would be a serious environmental issue as well. All in favor? Oh, Councillor Fowler, sorry. You need to unmute, Councillor Fellner.
I think that if we're going to go ahead and if you can, I think that, you know, there should be some more. I tend to agree with you. The wall is horrendous looking, and I don't think just facing it with stone is really going to dramatically decrease the impact from the lake. And there should be some vegetation put in front of it to sort of manage. It's just stuck out on this bald rock in front of everybody. I mean, to me, it's really it's an eyesore. But I think, again, here we go again, after the fact, and I want to support staff, but I think perhaps we should look at trying to minimize the impact a little further than what's been suggested, my opinion.
But just a question, the retaining wall was not pre-existing, correct? The pathway was, but not the
That's,
wall.
that is correct. Yes.
Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree. It is unsightly. And I'm not sure that cementing some fieldstone on there is going to change it much. The fact that in front of that wall towards the water is bedrock, I can't see how any vegetation could be planted there unless it's done in some sort of growing boxes, some sort of bed that's built onto the bedrock that would allow some vegetation to grow up in front. That's the only solution I could see. And maybe we should make that provision as well, or instead of. Thank you.
Councillor Moffat.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to confirm, Don, on page 73 of the staff report, or sorry, of the council report. So this is the first picture after your report. I'll give you a second there.
Yeah, go ahead. I've got it.
That's what it looks like now? That's the end product as it is right now, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it sticks out. In this picture alone, it sticks out substantially. Thank you.
Councillor Felder, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think because, given the patio was there and the pathway was there, but it was expanded on because of the topography towards the lake, then you've ended up with a very high wall, which of course is, instead of armor stone, is concrete. So to my point, I think I'd like to see, I typically in other matters, we've asked for landscape concepts or whatever you want to call it with replanting, and let them, let them figure out how they're going to get some vegetation in front of this thing. Whether it's, figure out how to get the wall in there. So I'd like to see something to support that they can minimize what this thing looks like. Because in my opinion, it looks terrible.
May I suggest to Mayor and Council, what if we were to consider requesting that they use like a potted cedar? So the pot is, I think you would have difficulty holding any type of bed without adding more in front of it. But if you have cedars.
I don't think we should be deciding what the landscaping options are. But I believe there are some. There are things like vines and stuff, but that's not our role.
Okay.
Your worship and members of council, I think what I'm hearing is that council would like to see some sort of vegetation in place. So we can make it a condition that the wall receive some sort of vegetative treatment to the satisfaction of staff, if that's fair for council, like that. And we will review and work with the landowners to.
And I personally would also like the landowner to understand that what he built is absolutely in contravention with everything environmental in Seguin and what council normally approves. But the fact that it's already there has put us in the position of build it and then ask for forgiveness. But concrete walls beside the lake are not endorsed. But I would request that the vegetative solution has to come back to staff with a plan or anything is approved. Councillor Fellner, you have something to add?
Yeah, that was, I'm not prepared to approve the staff report until we see what, you know, what's proposed as a solution. You know,
What I suggest then, Councillor Fellner, if you would propose an amendment or a deferral, make a motion to defer or amend it, then we can take that under consideration.
Yeah, I'd like to propose that it's deferred until a more complete restoration plan, I guess, or mitigation plan, whatever you want to call it, landscape plan is presented.
Okay.
You
Do I
know,
have a seconder for that deferral?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, that's Councillor Collins. All in favor of the deferral until we have a vegetative plan? Okay, all in favor, the deferral is carried. You'll fix it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to business item 10. I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby support the correspondence dated June 24th, 2021, and a resolution number 182-2021 of the Council of the Town of Cochrane attached to Schedule A to this resolution to include the PSA test for men into the national and provincial healthcare systems, and that it be made available for all men at no charge. And that this resolution be distributed to the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Honourable Patty Hadju, Minister of Health Canada, Honourable Christine Elliott, Ontario Minister of Health, Scott Aitchison, MP, Parry Sound, Muskoka, Norm Miller, MPP, Parry Sound, Muskoka, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and the Town of Cochrane. I have a motion from Councillor Moffat.
I so move that motion, Mayor.
And seconded by Councillor Coles.
I will second that motion.
Councillor Fellner, do you have your hand up on this one?
oh, you know,
Is there any discussion? This was brought forward by Councillor Moffat. Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor. I was unaware of the fact that men have to pay for the test. I know that through if you have a doctor or urologist refers you, there is no charge, but yeah, to have a fee attached to something as significant as this is crazy, and it needs to change. I would wholeheartedly support this.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next you have the report about the upcoming Roma meeting. And it's in January, and once again, you get to travel to your own desk. I have a motion. I guess I need the names first, right? Okay. Who would like to attend the Roma meeting in January? Moffat?
With some reluctance, because I sit at my home office every day. I will put my name forward. It's certainly not as exciting as it normally would be. I can count on Councillor Fellner putting his hand up to attend this one as well.
Anybody else like to attend in January? I will attend. Okay. So
I hope the virtual will be a little bit more exciting than the first time, and obviously we know that there's been a lot of changes, so I'm looking forward to something a little more exciting.
Motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby authorize the following members of council to be registered for the 2022 Annual Rural Ontario Municipal Association Roma Virtual Conference being held January 23rd to 25th, 2022. That would be Councillor Moffat and Mayor McDermott. I have a motion from Councillor Finson
I so move.
and seconded by Councillor Collins.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Thank you. And I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby accept the resignation of Tina Crisp from the Township of Seguin Orville Recreation Committee and thank Ms. Crisp for her service on the committee. I have a motion from Councillor Collins
I so move the motion, Mayor.
and seconded by Councillor Fellner. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Council reports. I'm going to ask Councillor Coles to take this. I hope everybody was able to watch the video. Oh, you're going to put it up there too? Oh, okay. Okay.
Councillor Coles is going to, no sound on the video, so he's just going.
Okay, you're the voiceover?
Just give me.
Yes. If there is a video,
I wondered if I didn't have the sound when I watched it on the weekend.
There is no sound yet to the video. Oh, great. It's very quick. So here's the architectural visualization of the campus of care that we're proposing for the West Prairie Sound Health Center. Beginning with a revised circulatory system around the property, the 32-acre property. Lots of parking, some commercial redevelopment at Bow Street. Ponds. These ponds are catchment areas for runoff on the property. That's what the new Belvedere would look like, which it connects to the hospital at its 4th level at the hospital's ground level. Plenty of landscaping, mechanical space and patios on the rooftop. And the CSS space is in the ground, is the ground floor or part of the ground floor of this complex. It's where it connects to the hospital. Existing stormwater management pond. The space, the building will hold 144 beds as opposed to the current 101. Because the property is irregular in topography, you can see the walls to build up for parking, just to enable to maximize the parking on the property. The red that you see coming up, that's the hospital on your left. The red that you see coming up would be the DSAB facilities, the daycare and all that they have to do with that's currently on Belvedere Drive opposite Belvedere. That's the DSAB facilities there. And these complexes here would be replacing the life lease complexes, which are attached to Belvedere. So everything that currently exists and more, because the DSAB facility is not part of Belvedere, but it's adjacent to Belvedere, and it's an aged building that needs to be replaced as well. Obviously, separate funding envelope. The helipad. Yeah. That's a view of the full site. Albert Street there and Bose on the front, and then the funeral home in the middle. The architects are Boulanger Salche from Sudbury. An exciting project. In fact, just so I would just add to that, tomorrow we're meeting both the Westbury Sound Health Center staff, the board chairs, myself and Lynn from Belvedere are meeting with the ministry staff on a Zoom meeting at 11:30 to go over where we're at. They have all the information. They have seen what you just saw, plus a lot more detail. And they're we'll let you know the outcome of tomorrow's meeting when it's over. Questions?
Thank you. We have some questions for you. Yes, Councillor Moffat.
Thank you, Mayor. That's pretty impressive. Art, is it safe to say that the site comes all the way to Bose and the only thing left then would be the hospital? I mean, sorry, the funeral home. That would be.
No, there's retail space, but it would be, you know, where the tent is now.
Right.
The market, that is where Belvedere would be.
Okay.
On the opposite corner, the other side of the funeral home is where the new retail space, the market would be, where Glen Burnie's and the pizza place are.
So that's all currently the hospital's footprint then that those people are utilizing will then sort of be repurposed into the variety of things that you as noted.
Yes, be rebuilt and it's all hospital property and it's currently leased to the vendors or the retail operations.
Yeah, it's hard to tell how big it is in the back because you can't really get there. But that view was impressive to see.
Yeah, the representation that you saw there is taken from their current measurements, the existing facilities that are there, to make sure they fit.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Councillor Finson.
Again, impressive art, really, really impressive. I just didn't notice any outside green space for the people. I noticed a lot of outside green space for the parking. I mean, I know there's a roof space, but I didn't see anywhere for someone to sit outside in that whole, I could be wrong, but I just didn't see any recreational outside stuff.
There is considerable space by the ponds, and that's, you will notice there's trees and grass areas. And that's the purpose of those. So, and that exists on all sides of the building.
Yeah. And I think I saw that. I'm just I was just thinking it's a long-term care and there might be dementia and there might be, you know, areas that, I don't know. I just didn't see any place where it looked like people could go outside.
Yeah, I can tell you now that the current situation at Belvedere, if you're familiar with the building, has multiple outdoor balconies. This building will also have balconies as part of the building and the rooftop garden that you saw.
Yeah, and I see that. My brother is in long-term care. And
but in fact, my experience here is nobody goes outside.
True enough. Yeah. I get that. Yeah, I just wondered if there was going to be some kind of outdoor, other than the roof, outdoor space for people who are mobile enough to do that.
Yes, around the ponds, there's green areas in which will be, that's the purpose. To make it as park-like as they can make it.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Mayor. Art, yeah, that's an impressive design. It's kind of hard to fathom the existing space there. Does any part of the new proposed buildings get any closer to the railway tracks?
No.
Okay.
No, they're further from the tracks. The tracks are behind. Yeah.
Right. So that most of the construction will be to the north of the hospital lands.
It's between Bose and the hospital. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. The only other question I have is I didn't see any comment or design about solar. Is there any solar built into this project?
Yeah, that would be in the detail at the time of detailed drawings. It's not part of the master plan. This is a master plan only. they want to make sure, we want to make sure that all that our requirements fit on the property, the 32-acre property, and we've accomplished that, so.
So there will be consideration of solar power usage of
We've
those
talked
roofs
about
where
that all
possible.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. Looks good. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Art. I guess my one question is, when does public consultation begin?
Public consultation has already occurred. As you know, Jim has released several pieces of information in all kinds of media. So it's been out there. I've seen it, and I don't go looking for it, I can tell you. And we've had meetings with people like the life lease people to see what their feedback would be, and they're all quite happy. There's no issue whatsoever. This is a much different issue than the pool because it's not changing. All it's doing is changing a location. The services don't change. All the existing services remain, except it accommodates more. So there's no issue like there's nothing new in terms of services. They're current and existing services.
Thank you. Now, do you have anything else to add to your council report other than how busy you've been over here?
Yeah, no, just that my meetings continue October 5th, 7th, 8th, and 13th. We are all meetings, and the fact that we have the ministry meeting tomorrow, and we had a meeting today to prep for the meeting tomorrow, so, which we do for every single meeting. We go through a lot of prep. So tomorrow's meeting is a very important meeting. It's the first meeting we will have had with a full gamut. Everybody but the minister will be present at the meeting in terms of ministerial staff. So it's an important meeting. That's it.
Thank you. So let's go back to Ward 1 and Councillor Moffat for your council report.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, but it seems like a long ago, but back on the 5th of October, the Georgian Bay Biosphere had a why are solstice celebrated? So I attended that webinar. On the 7th, you and I were both, as well as Jason, I don't know, there may have been others that attended the Active Transportation and Trails Master Plan Open House, and that was very, I was impressed that night with how that went in terms of the presentation and the materials and the interaction and the Q&A, and it was quite good. And received some emails from some residents, positive and somewhat neutral on those plans. And last but not least, just last week, we had a Foley Recreation Committee meeting. We're moving forward with a outdoor Halloween party at the Foley Community Center on the 30th, organizing that to, we're not sure what Halloween is going to look like again. So we're trying to do something as part of the rec committee to have a drop in and treats going on the 30th. So that's it for me in the last 2 weeks. Thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Osborne?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a CPAC meeting on the 21st. It had been originally called as an in-person meeting at OPP headquarters. A few of us, based on the fact there doesn't seem to be a protocol in place for vaccines, a few of us requested a virtual meeting for now, which was honored. And I also have a EMS meeting on the 28th, which will be virtual as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councillor Fellner?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Last week we had attended the Committee of Adjustment meeting, a couple of applications. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. I did have a meeting at the museum with Dominique and Nadine about last week to look at we're getting some new display cabinets, so we're sort of looking at what type and had a general discussion of what we could do to maybe improve the museum and and perhaps attract more patrons. That is some park to park things, just still, trying to get more trail fixed, and the weather's not cooperating, but we're getting there. And that's about it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. Thursday on the 14th, we had our first DSAB meeting. And that's the first one in the last couple of months. It was quite a long meeting. It went to 11 o'clock at night. There was a lot of verbal business, part of it being an Ontario Works update and so on, housing update, issues in Powassan. But other than that, we're back to our regular meetings now with DSAT. I'm happy to say that finally the 518 is open east of South Seguin Estates. So now our residents in the Nipissing area can now get back and forth into Parry Sound and get their groceries and so on and so forth. I did this weekend have another discussion with some residents of Magnetowan about the bridge inspection. Is there going to be a bridge inspection? Roads did do, they covered some of the bridge up with 1/4-inch plywood on the surface of the bridge, but I'm wondering when the decking is going to be done. Everybody is wondering when the decking is going to be redone. Or is there going to be some type of, is Steinhoff going to come down and take a look at it? And because that's one of our assets, of course. And I'd like to know where that is so I can report back to my constituents. And Cogeco. I'm getting a lot of calls from residents about Cogeco. Is there any more updated information on Cogeco that I could pass on to my constituents? And that's all I have right now.
Go ahead.
Just a brief update on Cogeco, Councillor Collins. The team at Cogeco has been on site, well, not on site, but they've been in the municipality a couple days here and there over the last few weeks doing some survey work and getting ready to commence fiber install coming from up north, working with our public works folks to make sure that the permits are in place. They're suggesting to me they're still on target for March 2022, but they have a fair amount of work to do before the frost hits the ground to get the key.
Okay.
Lots of activity anticipated in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
And I'm assuming your questions on the bridge, that you'll hear back from operations on those questions. I think Jason has made a note of them, so that we owe you an answer on those.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. That's all I have to say.
Councillor Finson.
I would like to report that our Horticultural Society for Rosso did a lovely job decorating the township, seeing as we won't be having a pumpkin festival. We didn't have a pumpkin festival, so they decided to decorate a little more extravagantly this year, and it looks beautiful. They've done a lovely job. The veterans banners that will be going up in the Rosso area are with the township, and they should be going up this week. So they will be up and ready for Remembrance Day. Very exciting. I can't wait to see them. There's 42 already. There's 42 people that have said they would like one, and actually Craig has mailed a few people that don't live here that really wanted a banner, so he had them made and he mailed them to those people that live somewhere else. I don't know why, but they really wanted one, so he sent it to them. Anyway, there was a DSAB meeting. There was a presentation of Ontario Works. It was really well done. they're doing a really good job. They also have, there was a draft strategic plan, which is the first strategic plan they've had in the 30 years that have passed. So that's nice that they're working on a strategic plan. It's just in draft, so it's not ready for public consumption yet, but it was really good that they had it. It was a long meeting and it was a very talkative meeting, and it was, yeah, anyway, it was a very interesting meeting. Most of it was in closed. So I went to a meeting at the, met with Jason and some people from the cemetery committee out at Seguin Falls Cemetery for a look around there. I think the cemetery meeting was canceled. And I've had some phone calls from residents, but other than that, it's been pretty quiet. And thank you.
Thank you. I don't have too much to report. We had an October 5th Airport Commission meeting, and then on the 6th, Councillor Moffat and I both attended the Safe Quiet Lakes AGM, I guess it was. It was opened by Nor Miller, and the summary of the research was presented, and I don't know whether, I don't think it didn't get into this council package, but I did send it to Katie to circulate the summary of the research, because it's pretty consistent. We also heard from Minnesota, Safe Wakes for Minnesota Lakes. They are actually looking at 16 states in the U.S. of looking at restricting boats, wakeboard boats. And they've got all kinds of hydrology reports about what wakes do when they're created 100 feet from shore or 200 feet from shore, and they're also trying to make a law in 16 states that prohibits personal watercraft closer than 50 feet from shore, which I found interesting. Dave Moffat was there from the OPP Marine. There's no way to save yourself in a boating accident unless you're wearing a PFD. That was clear. And Decibel Coalition, that's part of Safe Quiet Lakes, is presenting and lobbying with Transport Canada to try and get mufflers mandatory on boats, but I think it's going to be a long haul. Then on the 7th, we did attend the evening presentation of the Trails Consultation, and it's an enormous step forward for Seguin. So compliments to Dominique and her team and the consultants. It'll be nice to see what it does to our budgets and what we can move on, but it's a huge step forward for recreation in Seguin. And that's all I have. Have anything to report? Okay, so I have a motion. Oh, okay. A motion. Yes, Councillor Osborne.
May I ask Councillor Finston a question, please?
Sure.
Is Highway 141 currently closed?
It is closed down by Russell Lake Road 2, I believe, down that way.
So to get to Bracebridge, you have to go through Port Carling?
Yeah.
Yes, or you can go around the other way, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
It's very closed. There are
Yes.
people who it's only partly closed, and they drive past the signs, and then it's very closed at Russell Rescue. You can't get through. So I have a motion that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby receive the board and committee agendas and minutes and the correspondence as presented on the agenda for October 18th, 2021 meeting of council. Could I have a motion from Councillor Moffat?
I so move that motion, Mayor.
And seconded from Councillor Coles.
I'll second that motion.
Before I call for a vote, I have a question for Gail and Ted on item K on our correspondence, where FONOM is asking for a consolidation of the agencies to address the opioid mental health. And it's something that I personally would like to see, but I'd first like to hear what DSAP has to say about it. I don't know whether it was discussed at your meeting or whether you can take it back to DSAP. If there's going to, we know we have a problem with opioid addiction in West Perry Sound. So if this is something that would benefit us, we should bring back a resolution. But I first would like to hear what DSAP thinks about it. Take that.
Do you want to go?
We could bring that up at our next meeting.
Okay, that would be great. I
Right,
don't think
and then-
council should be
and
weighing in.
report, we could have a report back to you on the 1st of November.
Perfect.
What I
Right.
do know is they've had some deaths, so I'm pretty sure that they will be aware of this, but yes, we'll bring it back to council.
Yeah, it would, if we're gonna support it, it's a resolution
Yeah.
at council, so.
Yeah.
So all in favor of receiving the agendas and minutes? You, carried. And I have a motion that bylaw number 2021-081, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of meetings of council, is hereby deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and passed by council. Could I have a motion by Councillor Osborne
So moved, Mayor.
and seconded by Councillor Fellner?
I'll second that, Mayor.
All in favor? Two. And I have motion that council of the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council at 5:51 p.m. to meet again on Monday, November 1st, 2021, or at the call of the mayor. Could I have a motion from Councillor Collins
I so move the motion, Mayor.
and seconded by Councillor Vincent?
I second that.
All in favor? Thank you very much and have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you.